Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's July 18th, 2023. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter them into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Please just enter your questions into the comment field. We are monitoring both feeds. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you as our speaker takes a break. Also, this is a great opportunity to connect with everybody else who's on the call. For those that are on Zoom, if you'd like to open up the chat window, put in your name, phone number, email address, your LinkedIn address, companies what you'd like to be when you grow up, a couple target, 2 or 3 target companies, and connect with everybody else who's on the call, because maybe you can help somebody else who's out there, or maybe somebody out there can help you. You're welcome to do that. And just remember that those anything you put in the comment field will not be in the recording. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website. It's hard to believe it's been over 10 years now, careerusa.org. That website just got rebuilt this past week, so it looks a little bit different. If you happen to go to it and you see something that's broken, please let me know, so I can try to fix things. We try to get everything fixed before it launched live, but that new website is now up and running. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. I'll tell you about our upcoming program this Friday. A really good program, but I'll tell you about that at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIC crew. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile isn't going to get you a job. What it will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So for more information, just go to dallaspiccrew.com. All right, well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis. They share their wisdom, they share their knowledge on LinkedIn. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. So Locke, thank you for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you. Oh, I got to make you a co-host here. Hold on. Co-host. Okay, now you can share your screen.
Got the wrong one, Jeff. I'll learn how to do this pretty soon.
Only been doing it 3 years now.
I know. Is that up so that people can see it?
We're seeing your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
Is that the one you want, or you want the slideshow?
Window is closed. Okay, am I sharing again now?
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go.
That's it.
From the beginning. Okay. I'll minimize me on my screen so that people.
Yeah, we just see the PowerPoint. That's all we see.
Okay. Well, let me go back on my PowerPoint for just a second. There's my bio for anybody who's interested. I spent 42 years in recruiting. Part of that, 12 years of that was having my own recruiting firm here in Dallas, and some of the companies I work with are listed there. Oracle Corporation, and they bought Siebel. Siebel was a spin out from Oracle, and then Oracle purchased them. Prior to going to Siebel, I was at Raytheon Systems, which had acquired our merged TI system, or TI Texas Instruments, equipment division, division of Hughes and E-Systems into Raytheon Systems. I'd come to Texas from Rockwell Microelectronics out in California. And prior in California, I was also with Litton Data Systems, a government contractor, and Continental Airlines, and a couple others in my background. If you want a copy of today's presentation, lockealderson@gmail.com. I'm not going to cover all that's in the slide deck. There's some additional material in terms of how do you network into companies. That's covered by some of the other people, but I've got slides that cover that as well. So that's kind of my background. 21 years as a career consultant, starting out as a volunteer at our church in 2001. Workshops and seminars. 2013, Mullen International asked me if I'd like to join their staff. They'd won the contract away from Right Management, needed 60 consultants nationwide. And that lasted for a little over 4 years before Mullen's contract with Chase was renegotiated. He sold out to Lee Heck Harrison. So that's kind of my background. I've been a job hunter at least 5 or 6 times in my career, and I won't count the times that I worked on contract and the contracts come to an end and you found something new. So that's a little bit my background. I've also been a recruiter and, as I say, a career consultant. So that's where I come from. One of the strengths that I've always drawn on is going to the Bible. This is a verse from Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Well, that's a verse that I've kind of abided by, among others, in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Proverbs is a good guide for some of those kinds of things. I want to talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been around for, I want to say, about 15 years now. It's acquired by Microsoft a couple of years ago. And so they've made some changes. Come on, there we go. So we're going to talk about LinkedIn and why we want to use LinkedIn. Well, it's probably the #1 recruiting tool that recruiters use. There's both a free version, which most recruiters have, and there's also a licensed version called either Recruiter or Recruiter Lite. Recruiter Lite, which Kurt Vandemotter has, he spends $10,000 a year for a license on that. Midge Duncan, that I work with in another group, she has Recruiter Lite. That's only $5,000 a year. So again, I won't say I'm a cheapskate, but I use the free version. So there's also a premium version that you can subscribe to. I think it's up to about $33 a month now. If you want to try it free. Make a decision on day 27, 28, whether you're going to continue, because if you don't, they will bill you for sure. We're going to talk about your profile. One of the things about your profile, it's a vital part of getting found, okay? It's kind of like having a marquee on a movie. If you don't see the title of the movie on that theater, although some theaters have done away with marquees, you're probably not going to go there to see the movie. So your profile is vitally important to getting you there. The headline is the start about that, open to work. I'm going to touch on that. Your dashboard and your about sections, your work history, and your skills and endorsements. And then how do you go about optimizing your profile? Next section, we want to talk about how do recruiters actually search and how do you search on that, searching for jobs and what the impact of filters are, and then some homework for you to get involved with. Okay, LinkedIn, as I say, started out as a networking tool between marketing and sales personnel. Recruiters quickly found it because there was information about some of these marketing and sales people. Others found it and have added to it. There are probably 850 million people on LinkedIn worldwide today, and about 180 million of those are in the United States. And as I said, it's the most important tool in the recruiter's toolbox. They may have others, but they use it to verify who you are. They'll check you out on things like Facebook and Twitter, some of the other sites that you have. But job search is a team sport, so you want to use the resources that are available to you. It's a game that shouldn't be played alone. One comment about LinkedIn, our user, LinkedIn has been an incredible tool in my job search. The ability to show employers the exact experience and skills that I have on my profile is ultimately what helped me get the job. And I've had that comment for some of the candidates that I work with in outplacement as well. So those are some of the things we want to talk about. It all starts out with your profile. And your profile is basically what you see there. That's a quick view of an old view of my profile. Again, notice some things about that. I've used the pipe character, which is a shift key above the enter key right here. If you use a shift, you use that pipe character or a backslash or a dash between words, you want to leave a space on either side, because if you don't, the words that you've linked together are not a searchable term that the recruiters look for or hiring managers. So that's kind of the background. And the goal of the presentation today is to help you to appear on the first or second page of the search. Because if you don't appear in that first or second page, that's 10 per page thumbnail sketches, 20 on 2 pages. Again, you probably are not one of the ones that recruiters are going to look further at. I looked, and when I was recruiting, I always used to look at 5 to 10 screens before I made the final decision on that. So that's just some information to know about what you want to think about. You notice also there that I've got a banner, a background banner. It's different than the one that you see behind me today. Again, that's something that you want to have. Jeff's got a rather interesting and unique one. It's got his contact information, which is another thing that you want to have. Again, the other things that you notice on the screen there in the 6 to 10 seconds, you've got the contact information. In this particular one, I've got open to work open, which is something I strongly advise because, again, getting found on LinkedIn, the more that you can information that you can give the recruiter goes through their computer first, means that you'll appear higher on their search list. Again, then that's the goal, is to be found on there. You notice also I've got a decent headshot. My wife took that by me. You don't have to go to a professional photographer. You can even do selfies if you're using for your headshot that's there. If you do a selfie, make sure that you've got a clean background and that you don't have a glare in the picture. Okay, you want to have a clean shot of who you are. And again, those times when you enjoy spirits or beer, again, those are not the kind of photos that you want to appear on LinkedIn. This is a professional site. Again, so that's what you see in the first thing. You notice the open to work is there. You notice my headline is about, this one is only about 140 characters. You actually now have 220 characters. A lot of the profiles that I've looked at, people only put 1 or 2 lines. That's about 80 characters. You're doing yourself an injustice and shortchanging yourself because you aren't telling about you. One of the people that's on the call, I made some suggestions to her yesterday, and she changed some of hers. Hopefully she's had some results from that because hers was pretty generic. Again, generic terms in your headline there that's under your name. I've never searched for a jack of all trades. Now that person that gets hired probably does a lot of things that you could call a jack of all trades. But those are some of the things to think about. So the things that you could do to increase your ranking, again, I mentioned that your goal is to complete your profile, remember who you are and who your target audience is. Your audience is not you. It's not about you. It's about how you are viewed by other people. So you want to complete your profile and achieve an all-star status. I used to have a pie chart and they would show that where your rankings, that's the top ranking that you get. Even when mine was fully complete and I was on LinkedIn almost daily, the highest I could get was, I think, a 98% ranking. They've done away with that just to say there's an all-star ranking. Use a professional headshot and also try and include a banner shot behind you. It adds credibility to who you are. The headline, use the job title of the position that you're applying for. If you don't put a title in your headline, it's going to default to the last job title in your employment section. And that may not be what you're looking for. So that's something to think about. Use the open to work. It's more likely that you're going to find people are going to notice you if you use the open to work. Another tip that I read in a blog that came in last week was turn that off and on periodically. Again, that'll refresh your resume or refresh your profile and bring it to the top of the recruiter search list. Complete your about section. It's really the summary of who you are. A lot of people may have one paragraph in their about section. Again, I've probably got about 1,200 characters in mine. You have 2,000 characters that you get to play with in that section. Have your contact information in the first line of your about section. I can't emphasize that so strongly. I'm in another group of professionals and they do not. I've looked at their profiles. Make it easy for the recruiter to get in touch with you. Because if they're not directly connected, they're a second or third degree connection, and you haven't opened up your security settings so your phone number and email address appear, they have no way to reach out to you except through a LinkedIn mail. Again, those frequently don't get answered or forwarded. So put it out there on the first, you can be elsewhere in your about section, but put it on the first line. Let's connect with your email and your phone number. Make it easy for the recruiter to get hold of you because you're in a job search mode right now. Next thing that we want to talk about is your experience section. Your job title, if you have an unusual job title like member of technical staff, and when I was in recruiting for some of the technical companies, those were some of the titles that we used for some of the technical people in the departments out there. Put the title that's easily recognized or the title that you search for. You may put the exact title in parentheses of your job. And also include some results. What were the results of performing your duties? All too often, the profile and your resume include just the duties that you perform. What were your responsibilities? So include some of the results, have an impact. You also want to keep the sections pretty short. I would say 3 or 4 lines and have a paragraph break or a carriage return there. So it's easy to read, because we tend to, if you have long paragraphs, people tend to skip over them. So what are you trying to emphasize with that? Skills from your profession, we're going to go over that, and your endorsements. People can endorse you for what you've done. Education awards, certifications, and professional development. Again, a lot of resumes and a lot of profiles I've seen simply talk about when somebody got their degree. They don't mention the awards they've gotten. They don't mention the certifications they've got. And they often don't mention what they've done to keep their skills current, their professional development. Recommendations for coworkers are invaluable. So try and solicit those from people that you know. You know about my experience at XYZ company. You mind writing something, or even suggest what they might write? Send them a couple of words, a couple of sentences about your background, and this is what we did together. If you could write me a recommendation on LinkedIn, it would be helpful. And try and have a couple of those for each of your jobs that's on LinkedIn. Let's go back to the profile. Here's 6 to 10 seconds. What do you see about my profile? Well, you notice on this particular one, I've got the open to work banner from about 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock open. It lists additional 5 job titles down here. It also lists whether you want to work on-site, hybrid, or remote. Those are important today. And also, if you're open to relocation, is a section that's there. Okay. Let's take a look at the next area. These are some titles, some headline titles. Nothing wrong with these. Okay, Srini has a question.
Hey, Locke, quick question. Where is the open to relocation thing on that? Sorry, I did not
Okay, when
notice
you
that.
open to work, it's right under your headline, and you can open that up and fill it out. You have the option to show it to all of LinkedIn or just recruiters, but it also allows you to list the different areas that you might be willing to relocate to. And that's what recruiters see.
Thank you.
So getting back to the headline, nothing wrong with unemployed or retired. They're probably truthful statements, but they're not the most positive statements that you want to put out there, because remember, the LinkedIn headline may be what people remember you by. So what do you like to be remembered by? Most people, if they ask me, and I'm in a professional environment, career consultant, or possibly professional or executive recruiter. So seeking new opportunity is, again, truthful that you are, but it doesn't go into any details. People have to ferret out and find out what you're really looking for, and they may not take the time. Formerly VP of Finance tells you somebody has probably got some pretty decent credentials, but he's not in a job right now. Likewise, experienced digital design engineer, again, adding more information makes it more interesting to the recruiter or hiring manager. Makes it easy for them to identify, do you match their requirements, which is what you're trying to do. Again, social media strategist, content manager, seeking new opportunity, print and digital media, which is implied, PR, public relations. It's occasionally okay to use acronyms like that. Marketing and corporate communications. This tells somebody about what they do and where they might fit to your job requirement, to their job requirements. Supply chain, procurement, and purchasing. This one, Srini, might be something that talks about you, but you might want to add something about that you've had semiconductors and electronics, okay? And that you've been at an executive level and you've supervised and stuff like that. But that's a good start on a short one. Again, these are shortened to get them onto the screen on this slide. Senior accountant, general ledger, again, an acronym there. Could be AR or AP, accounts payable, accounts receivable, but an accountant, executive assistant. When I was with Lehigh Harris, and I had several of those, there were 40,000 executive assistants in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So adding additional information might clarify what you do and make it easy for them to contact, because you match some of the requirements they're looking for. This one is, again, another short one, but for IT recruiters, it hits some of the hot buttons that they have. A project manager, ITIL, which is a certification, Scrum Master and Agile, the methodology. These are some of the hot buttons that recruiters look for IT recruiters. Again, general manager, aerospace and manufacturing. Pretty high-level individual, kind of narrows it down. You could add other things in terms of that. Could be international or domestic. Worked with airlines, perhaps, as opposed to aerospace, which is rockets. like SpaceX or somebody like that, or Boeing that's in this aerospace industry for rockets. What they've also done, and you can see this now, is something called a headline generator. You can add adjectives to describe who you are: accomplished, award-winning, and use several titles that could be listed in LinkedIn. Use of titles. Sometimes if you use titles that aren't listed in LinkedIn, they won't let you lose them, and we'll show you about that in a minute. What value do you bring that you can add? So you can make it a narrative and those 220 characters that you get to play with. Well, let's take a look at this as an old profile of mine, my headline. You can notice there's nothing wrong with it. It says the things that I've done with consultant at Lehigh Harrison, recruiting resource to some networking groups. Doesn't talk about my recruiting experience though. So what I did was modify that, add some verbs to it. Okay, accomplished recruiting consultant. I'm being perhaps a little egotistical and talking about myself like that. Successful executive recruiter, except that I did, while I was with Oracle Corporation, I had 16 successful executive searches in addition to maintaining a full professional recruiting desk. So those are just some of the things, the difference that it makes when you take a look at those kinds of things. Moving on, here's some other descriptive headlines that you can take a look at. Again, adding things like increasing productivity, okay, creating value, specialize in the expansion of international business in the aerospace sector, okay, that business development guy in aerospace. Able to explain high tech to customers. I know when I was with Oracle Company, we always looked for good business analysts who could relate to the customer and take their technical requirements back to the designers and architects so that they could translate the software to match up to that. Okay, bridge the gap between techies and management. Again, that's it. Having done that and seen what they can do, and in some of those meetings, it's interesting. So those are just some additional titles that you can work with. So let's move on now to that open to work section. As I mentioned, Srini, this is for you. When you click on that, you can add titles that you add. If you want to add a title and it's not there, it won't let you add it as you start to type it in. There's also a drop-down menu with some artificial intelligence that you can choose those. Here's where I mentioned where you can work: on-site, hybrid, and remote.
Got it.
The locations that you want, okay, that you can list the different locations. You might want to list, say, Austin or San Jose or semiconductor industry, or Boise, Idaho, if you're interested in Micron, okay? Or some of the other areas, if you're interested in international assignments, say in Korea with Samsung, or what's the other semiconductor firm that's over there. And again, it tells where are you in your process. Recruiters like low-hanging fruit. I'm immediately available and applying. They want to go after people who cut their cycle time down from 60 days, maybe to 30 days to get somebody in that job and filled. So that's something to think about as you look at that. And recruiters almost always filter their searches by location. So you want to put a location in your profile. Again, you as applicants have taught recruiters that you're not willing to really drive more than 20, 25 miles. Now, Srini, you're an exception because you have skills that are located in different parts of the country. There are other people that are willing to do consulting work and move around the country and travel a lot. So those are some of the differences that make, but most people don't want to travel more than 20, 25 miles to work. So then the search, that's why the search engines have a limit of 25 miles when you see that, when you put a search engine in there. But if you live outside the 25-mile radius, then you might put a local zip code in there as well. Moving right along, we're going to talk about your dashboard area, okay, the analytics. Again, this tells the activity that's been on yours. You've been 83 profile views in the last week. I've appeared because I posted notice of this presentation today. I think I have 350 post views and search appearances. Now, profile views, this is where you turn up in somebody's search, and then they've actually taken the time to take a look at your search, okay? The other area of that section in your dashboard is the features section. This is just all of the LinkedIn presentations that I've done. There are about 7 in there. You can also post your resume in there. If you're somebody like my son is a motion graphic designer, he's got what he calls his reel in there, or his portfolio of work that he's done. So those are some of the things. But by clicking on this search title up here, and we'll show you what that is in just a second. Okay, search appearances, the keywords that the searchers use. And on my particular case, because they may be looking for a recruiter to help them find a job, or the company may be looking for a recruiter. So it's a little bit difficult in my situation. But again, when they do that, but then the companies show up. So these companies may not have openings right now, but they may have work the kind of work that you do. So they may be companies that you want to add to your target list of companies. I'm moving again down to your about section. Your about section, as I said, is it used to be called the summary. Again, this one has the contact information on the top line. Now, this is a little bit longer than I normally recommend, but it's a very extremely well-written description. I think it's got about 10 lines there. Again, he's used bolding to emphasize a few things as well. Again, he's also used an acronym down here, FP&A. Anybody who's worked in that field knows what FP&A in accounting and finance knows what that is. I have a friend who just accepted a job where he's looking for financial people. So he knows what that term is. But if you're using a term like that, spell it out at least once when you use it, because some terms like AMA could be American Medical Association or American Marketing Association. So it can make a difference. And some of the recruiters and hiring managers that you talk to really don't understand all the jobs that they're recruiting for. So that's just something to think about. But those are some samples that you can look at. Here are some other samples. Again, one of the advantages that LinkedIn profile allows you to do is to speak in the first person. I, me, my, okay? And talk a little bit more about you. There's some fluff statements that I would care. I'm a strategic, creative, hands-on marketer. Yes, that's probably true. In a resume, that can be a kiss of death words because they don't give examples to support them. But again, here you've got in your about section, you've got 2,000 characters where you can amplify things. So that's just something to think about as you go on. Let's drop down to the experience section. I've taken a section from my profile, but again, in your experience sections, you want your job title, the company names and dates. Okay, the company, because Oracle is one of those that LinkedIn recognizes their logo for, that will appear on some of mine. So for some of you, the logo will appear. If not, you want to include the title of the company. It has the dates that I worked there. Again, that was after, when it actually shows up on my profile, it also links my Siebel experience with that because Oracle acquired Siebel. Your duties and responsibilities, try and keep them to 3 to 5 lines. You notice I've used a little over 3.5 lines right there for that. I've got a couple of bulleted accomplishments. These are some of the results from performing my duties that are there, okay? I also tossed in, because when I left Oracle, the director of recruiting sent a nice note out to the staff about what I'd done. So I just included that as something else that you can include there, something to think about, makes you a little bit different than anybody else, so that you stand out. And I still get overtures to do recruiting, even though I retired from active recruiting in the end of 2011. Other things that you can do in terms of your profile, if you are not working, this is very important. The one that you should add is the one over here called a current position. Where is that on here? I don't know that it's on here, but you can also, there's sections now where you can add your volunteer experience as well. My volunteer experience on my profile, because this came out long after I did my profile, is incorporated in my actual work experience. But here's one for your current position. Okay, if you are not working, you want to have a current position. This particular one, he describes the title of the job that he's looking for. He's looking for a full-time employment. Okay, he's searching for the company, he's searching for opportunities in financial services. It could be in telecommunications, it could be in electronics. If you're an accountant, you're looking for a different kind of firm. Your Srini might be in semiconductors and electronics or printed circuit boards. Those are the kinds of things that as you start to type in location, there's some artificial intelligence. Again, it starts to type in Dallas, you notice there's a drop-down menu. Again, if you don't put something there, it might choose one for you. There's a Dallas, Georgia, and a Dallas, Oregon as well. So that's just something to be aware of. The other thing that you can do, if you have a project basis, you can add projects in there. I was a program manager when I was with the DFW Staffing Management Association, and I arranged for the speakers for every 2 months to come in. So you can list those kind of things as well. If you have IT background, typically a lot of IT background involve project management, as do other professions. Again, something to add that tells more about you that they can scroll through if they look at your background. The next section is your skills and endorsements. Normally, you can add up to 50 skills in your situation, and it allows you to type in right there. And this one makes some suggestions. I'll go back first. Again, if you don't choose the skills that you want to emphasize, Like the ones that are listed here, you can just click on that and it will add that to it. Again, LinkedIn will choose 3 for you based on their algorithm. Those may not be the ones that you want to display. And again, periodically, you may want to go in and refresh that. So what you want to do when you do that, when you open up the skills area and you fill that in, use 3 dots over here to the side. Again, and this one is my, excuse me, I've identified my skills, and this is where I've done those kinds of situations. Okay, Everge Group and other places where I've done Foster Williams, some of you may know. Again, these were all Everge. I don't know why it selected those. But when you click this blue, the 3 dots up there, it allows you to see this screen, reorder your skills and endorsements. There are 4, I think it's 4 lines. My eyesight is kind of good. If you hold your cursor over those, press down and drag it down, I can move executive search down to the bottom, move professional services up to the top. Again, the number out there beside executive search is the number of endorsements that I've had. But you have 50 skills that are there. And as I say, if the ones that you don't want to emphasize aren't shown, you want to rearrange this so that the ones you want shown, they emphasize who you are, what your skills and strengths are. Okay, again, looking at your profile. Why would you want to look at somebody else's profile? Well, if you do a search for a recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, such as I am, if you notice in this particular search, there were about 26,000 people. It's actually up to about 35,000 now. Again, and you don't appear in the first 10 screens. Again, I would pop open some of these profiles and take a look at what they have in their profile. Take some of the words that they're using and put it in yours if they apply. See if it doesn't move you up in the ranking. Because again, remember I said the first couple of screens, recruiters tend to look at those. They may not look too carefully at some of those. Again, likewise, these are some areas that you can take a look at and improve your ranking as you go. Okay. Taking a look at other people. This is another senior recruiter. I just happened to pop hers open. And why? You can notice what her profile looks like. Highly accomplished and dedicated talent acquisition specialist with 15 years of experience. That's her tagline in her about section. Now, she doesn't have her contact information. And because she's a second degree connection for me, I couldn't reach out and touch bases with her on that. If you're looking for a job on LinkedIn, we're changing gears a little bit. Make sure we have enough time. I think we want to touch on how does LinkedIn actually conduct a search or run a search? And what do recruiters really search for? And what are some results of those recruiter searches? And then how do you go about searching for jobs and the advantage that you can use with filters and job alerts? So that's one of the things that we want to touch on. So what do recruiters really search for? Well, they look for your profile section and your activity section on LinkedIn. Your ranking is based on the sum of the values, and the higher the score in each of the categories brings you to the top of the list the recruiters get. Again, so that's something. Your activity on LinkedIn. Remember I mentioned turning on and off your open to work section. That's counted as an activity. And that activity has a value for that section or that activity. So those are some of the things that you could do. Once they've done that, recruiters generally look for a match of job titles, your current and past jobs in your headline, your open to work section, your about section, and your employment sections. So they're looking for those keywords that match up. Again, there's usually 5 or 6 keywords that recruiters look for. And if they don't match, if they don't find them, they're going to move on to the next candidate. So what are the keywords in your profession? You're the people that know those kind of things. And recruiters may know those things, they may not. Having been a recruiter in the semiconductor industry, I know a little bit more about Srini and some of the background of some of the companies he may be looking at. So recruiters may or may not know his background and know about semiconductors. As I said, the friend that I had that just started to work, he'd been in the industry for about 20 years, but never recruited financial people or accounting people. So it's he's got to go through a learning curve to find out what's really being sought. Keywords and skills, now looking at those. Again, I mentioned both of those, the keywords from your profession. If you don't know what they are, take a look at some of the job postings that you're interested in, go to the requirements. Those are some of the keywords that they're looking for. Industries and specific companies. Again, we'll take a look at some search results. Again, if you've worked in healthcare and are trying to break into healthcare, it's a good idea to have some healthcare experience somewhere along the line. Not mandatory, but I'd say it makes it a lot more difficult if you don't have healthcare experience. Education, again, I applied for a job here in Dallas with a company looking for an MBA from a top business school in the country. Well, there are about, depending upon whose list of MBA schools that you're looking at, there are probably as many as 15 different schools. And since I went to the University of California at Berkeley, which is considered one of the top schools, I was at least interviewed for the job. Didn't get it, but I did get interviewed based on my profile. Okay. Geographic location. Again, recruiters typically are looking people that are easy to recruit. 10, 15, 20, 25 miles is generally a good list. And you don't want to drive more than that in today's environment with gas prices, even what they are today. It's fluctuated. I've seen it as much as 30 cents a gallon difference driving the streets in Dallas in the last week or so. Current and prior companies and your length of service. Again, that old buzzword job hoppers doesn't apply as much as it used to because of the things that have happened with COVID-19. But again, people like stability in somebody's background. And then recruiters look at your experience. They can glance through those, and as I say, they glance at resumes in 6 to 10 seconds. They're skilled at that. They'll look at your profile the same way. Well, let's take a look at a search. This is actually the search criteria that Kurt uses. I copied the screen when he did that. And again, he has the recruiter software license. Okay, it allows him, because this is an older screen version, it only shows that he has access to 710 million people. Actually, that's over 850 now. But it's about 3 screens of data that he can enter in, and he could click in what he's looking for and sift through all of those. And within 30 seconds, he can narrow that 710 million down to maybe 70 candidates that he wants to take a look at if he's good. Now, one of the things that he wants to look at are the job titles, okay, location, skills, and accomplishments. So let's take a look at an actual result. I don't like this particular one. Does somebody had an example of it? This is a recruiter looking for accountants. Hasn't been very specific, so what happened? He got all the accountants that are in LinkedIn in the United States. So that's not a very effective recruiting search. But again, it's a start for a recruiter. Let's take a look at a better one. This is for what are we searching for? This was for a product manager for a company, I think in Seattle, the Seattle area. They wanted people local in Seattle, or they take people down the coast in San Francisco Bay Area. They'll consider somebody who's had product marketing, which is related to product management in many companies. And they'd had some target companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Fluke, all headquartered in the Seattle area. And they also mentioned University of Washington down there on the lower left-hand screen. But that drew 6,900 responses. 2,500 had company connections. They were following the company that did the search. And 462, okay, engaged with the company, were following the company more actively. Moving to the next one, we did one in Chicago for a project manager. Again, because of the number of project managers there are, it's a pretty popular title, about 43,000. Again, if you do that search in the Dallas area, similar numbers that you'd find here. But of those, only 83 were open to new opportunities. That's the old title for open to work. So people have said they were open to new opportunities, you notice down here. Okay. Oh, sorry. My touchpad is very sensitive. So that's the way they get you into it. But the skills that were listed, business strategy and analytics. But the all other things that they would consider, marketing entry, they were looking for analysis, corporate development, management consulting, or business strategy. Those are some other words that were tossed in the search that they would have. Companies, they were looking for some high-tech companies like Google and Facebook, which is now Meta, Evernote, and LinkedIn. So those are some companies that, because Northwestern is just north of Chicago, they tossed that in as well as an education. But how do you go about searching for talent? There's a couple of ways. First way, when you go to LinkedIn, there's a search box and you can start there. A better way is to go to the jobs tab, which is right here. When you do that, it's going to open up a window and it has 2 search boxes there, one for jobs and one for location. If you just happen to enter a job, okay, it's going to default to the United States. Probably going to want to narrow that down to a specific location. So that's, if you don't, as I say, if you've previously done a search for the location, it will default to that search if you don't enter a new one. Well, let's actually take a look at a search. This is one for a job for a senior accountant in Plano, Texas that I did. I've done numerous ones, but just highlight this one. Notice, again, the default setting is for 25 miles. Okay. The date posted, I always recommend that you narrow that down to at least a week, because jobs older than that, unless you have a skill set and experience in a very difficult to find profession. Again, a lot of those jobs get filled very quickly. I know a mutual friend of Jeff and I, a lady named Gail Houston. She posted a job for a project manager here in Plano when she was with EDS. She had 300 responses in the first hour, so she shut down the posting. But again, this job that's highlighted over here is described over here as well. So the description, and you can scroll through the job. But that's something for a position as well, in terms of detail. I want to take a look at filters yet. This is an old version of the filter screen. It now appears on the right-hand side of the screen only, right third of a page, but it does allow you to search for jobs based on job type, whether full-time, contract, temporary. Most of the jobs on all of the job boards are going to be permanent full-time positions. Again, I mentioned using this the past week as a criteria. Notice the difference when we did this search, there were, I think, a little over 2,000. The past week, it narrowed it down by 2/3 of those jobs were gone or not listed anymore. Something that LinkedIn picked up from Indeed.com was a salary guesstimate. And I use that word loosely because most of our friends that have a background in compensation and benefits would frown on it as a salary survey. It's not the most accurate survey. It's a good guess what it is, but you can narrow your search down. If you're looking for a position as a recruiter in Dallas, and I was looking for executive search, I'm probably going to narrow it down to 100K and above. Okay, if that's where my threshold would be in terms of job that I have. But you may want to narrow it down further. There's an easy apply button that I mentioned over here on the right. Sorry about that. My touch screen is very sensitive. This easy apply, if it allows you to use the easy apply and upload a resume, I'd say go ahead and do that, because then you can tailor the resume a little bit to the job requirements. If you just use easy apply and they take your profile, it's cast in concrete. Whatever you have in your profile, that's what's going to be your application for employment. The other things it can do, you can search by industry and by company. Notice a lot of jobs that we're looking for. HCA Healthcare was looking for a lot of people in the recruiting function. Okay, you can search by industry as well and location. But this will allow you to narrow down a search from 2,000, almost 2,100, narrow it down to say, I'm looking in Carrollton, there's 72 jobs in Carrollton. So that's the job filters, as I mentioned. Let's take another look at another job. I put in quality assurance. I did a presentation for the American Society for Quality Engineers last summer. And we did it because they were all quality engineers, wanted to show how to use this. But we put in quality engineers in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now, this is by opening up from Dallas County to Dallas Metroplex. It adds a number of different companies in the west side of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that, but notice this is the current job there. Quality assurance in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And this quality inspector is there. This is a pretty low level kind of position. Okay, so in this case, we said, okay, want to upgrade it and look a little higher level position. We added quality assurance manager to the end of the title. Again, the quality assurance would include the managers, but you have to sift through all those other jobs as well. So by adding an additional word, it allows you to filter that. And this job, as I mentioned, full-time director, 125 to 135,000. So you have a lot of information in there. And even on this particular one, identified who the recruiter is. So instead of having dear recruiter or hiring manager, you can address the recruiter directly in that particular situation. Okay, 2 more slides and we're done. I want to show you how to do, when you do a job search, there is the option to do up here, turn the job alert on. And what that does by turning it on, is when I click that screen and I've elected daily, it gives you the option to receive daily or weekly emails with any new job posted in that career field or by that company if you've done your search on the company's website. And you can do that, as you notice up here, there are a number of tabs that you can use to filter by. And the other thing I will mention, if you found that you're too small or too many, you can go back and click the all filters or an undo function, and you go back to your original search that you'd posted. So that's a way to turn those on, and that way you apply for that particular position. Okay. Wrapping up, we want to take a look at a couple of profiles that we can, or see if we can do a job search for somebody if they're interested, is complete the sections of your profile. The more that you have, doesn't have to be a lot, but complete the section. People want to know who you are and what you're doing and what you've done. The name that you want to be known by. Make it easy for us. My legal name is John Locke Alderson Jr. So when I get those calls for John Alderson, I ask which one, junior, senior, or Trey, my son. So they typically are looking for senior, thinking that's the more important one. The moneymaker can make decisions. And I say, no, he's passed away about 20 years ago. Headline, lose the job title or titles that you're looking for. Okay. Not including one will default to the title of your last job. Complete the open to work section. Unless you're in a stealth recruiting mode, and one of the people in another group I'm in is a stealth recruiting mode, they still have a job and are expecting the axe to drop. So they may not have that open. They may open up, the open to work section may only be open to recruiters. Do include, I can't emphasize it strongly enough, a phone number and email in the first line of your about section. It can be elsewhere, but make it easy for me to reach out and touch bases with you. Have the experience section, use the job titles and duties, keep them short and readable. If you have a paragraph that's 10 lines long, cut it in half at least. Keywords from your profession, excuse me, shows that you know your profession, one of the keywords. The skills, choose the top 3 that you want to emphasize, not the one that LinkedIn chooses for you. And do that people search, find out where you stand. If you don't, take a look at some of the others. Hop open those sketches and use some of those words in your profile. Jeff, I'm going to turn it back to you. I'm going to see if I can get back.
What would you like to do now?
Well, let's see if we can go. For people that want the slides. As I
Yeah,
said,
I'll pop your thing up here in just a second. So if people want to get this slide deck.
okay, the slide deck, LockeAlderson@gmail.com. That's who I am. If you want the slides, I'll be happy. As you notice, I clicked through some other slides on networking and how to find people in companies, because I wanted to see if we had some time to review a couple of profiles.
Right. Do you want me to pop
Well, let
the,
me see if I can get mine up, Jeff.
okay. I'll stop and let you restart.
Nope.
Christina, if you will, just send Locke an email, LockeAlderson@gmail.com, and he'll send it from there. He'll just reply back to your email.
Well, Jeff, I'm having trouble finding it again.
All right, no problem. I've got one here loaded. Let's see here. And
Well, take a look at somebody's profile, okay?
so if anybody would like to
profile.
look at your profile, either put it in the chat window or unmute your mic and let us know. We'll take a look at it. Mine, Janet Young, JANETYOG. All right, Janet, do you see yourself up there anywhere? Are you the first, second, third? Lots of Janet Youngs out here.
The first.
First one, all right.
Okay, Janet's a second degree connection. The first thing, she's got a good background photo, tells a little bit about her. But again, what's the first thing you notice about that as a recruiter? She's a second degree connection. So click on her contact information, Jeff. She has not, that's what recruiters see. She has not opened herself up to be a contact. So close that and let's scroll down to her about section. That's typically where people put their contact information. Okay. She does have her contact information right at the front. So it makes it easy for her. What I would do is I would do a carriage return right there at the end of that. So it stands out on a line by itself. Make it easy again for them to focus on that.
Okay.
You don't want it run together. Is that you've got some other things that are nice there, some other things you can use, do that. You've got some accomplishments. You might want to put some dashes in front of the areas of expertise or bullet, or I don't know that the editor in LinkedIn allows you to do bullets, but you can either do dashes or asterisks and then a space. So they stand
Okay.
out a little bit more. Okay, keep going down, Jeff. Let's take a little bit further. Okay, notice how she's got some skills that she's got there. Those are skills that are in her section. And see more, okay? Again, and she has communicated, she's got some accomplishments to handle 20 20 customer interactions. So that's an accomplishment type statement, okay? Well, those are some other things. Client relationship at Regal Wear. Okay. Pretty good looking, decent resume. You were at Vizient, the pharmaceutical supplies, I think, or they are. I think that's what they
Yes.
Okay. Okay. She's been a supply chain analyst. Let's go back up to the top for a minute. Let's take a look at her headline. Software support, end user support. You might want to add some industries that you've worked with, such as pharmaceuticals or anything like that, if that makes sense, and that's where you're looking. Because you have other companies like that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like Cardinal Health or McKesson.
Okay,
So again, by identifying and making those available, okay, makes it easier for the recruiter to identify, okay, she's got experience in my industry. Okay, Jeff has clicked on the connect button, which was blue, and he's sending her a note to let's connect. Okay, when you click on that, if you have a white connect button, go to the three buttons over to the side, over to the right side of that toolbar line where it says more. Okay, and there's a pending, okay, but there will say there will be a connect button in there, okay, a tab. But do send a personal note. We connected, or we had a chance to get to know each other on the LinkedIn Tuesday. Again, Jeff and I both do not accept all the LinkedIn invitations that we get. If we can't identify who the people are or where they were. Okay, so make it easy. Connect it and on the profile. Okay, Janet, those are just a couple of quick tips. You've got a pretty good looking resume.
thank you.
Profile. I mean, I use those terms interchangeably because I teach on both. David Kern, is that our next subject,
David,
Jeff?
is one of these you?
Yeah, no, I don't see myself on the first page though.
Not there. All right, let's go. Do you see it now?
Yes, top.
Top one. All right.
Okay, good. David is again a second degree connection. First thing we want the recruiters do, how do I get hold of you? Up. Okay. Okay, more. Here's a blue connect button. So Jeff can send you a note, let's connect. Okay. When I do that, I just click that and violate Jeff's rules. He says, always put a personal note. Okay, the next thing, he's got the open to work section open, but look at his headline before we depart that. Audit, compliance, risk. He's used about, he would be a good candidate for my included in his headline on my profile that I do in the presentation. It doesn't identify a lot of what you've done. Okay, what kind of audit? Has it been for an insurance company? Has it been an auditor for a big five accounting, or big four it is now? Okay, loss prevention. Again, those are the kind of things. What kind of risk management has he been involved in? Been in financial risk, insurance? Again, HEMA, if you
I would put a couple job titles in there.
and
What
use
you
the
wanna
job,
be.
what are the titles of the job that you've looked at? Those are the titles that you want to put there. The same thing, you've got some of those listed down under open to work. Repeat them, because again, the searches count the number of times that a word appears there. The best example I can think of that, when Siebel acquired Oracle and I moved over to Oracle. Again, we were looking for a Siebel consultant. I ran a posting in Minneapolis where I had a job opening. 75% responses, 50 of them didn't even have the word Siebel in their profile. Again, a reject. There's a lot there to break it up. You've got a good about section. Again, first line, contact information.
Yeah, because, you know, if I want to reach out to you, the only way for me to reach out to you is send you an email message, because I don't know your email or phone number. If you don't want to put your phone number on there, get a Google Voice number. That way you're not sharing your personal cell phone, but if you get a Google Voice number, you will be able to
You can screen the calls. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of good skills.
I would break it up a little bit instead of having it all in one list. Maybe go to 2 columns with your skills and expertise. Okay. Because you're, again, in looking at a profile, when it's a list like that, as a recruiter, what's important? What are you asking me to pay attention to in my 6 to 10 seconds? Okay, you don't mention that you've been a controller. You don't mention that you've been an audit manager. You've done mention audit. Okay, you've been a sales consultant. If you want to do sales, I would include that as well. Okay. Licensed agent, again, for New York Life, a treasurer. That sounds like a professional association.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Again, he's included like I have. If you look at my profile, again, I've got my volunteer experiences included in my professional work because I consider that the same. They're going together. Okay. Let's scroll down to his skills area. Okay, that's something if you're looking for risk management, that's a position anybody have. So you've emphasized by those three, I would say that your focus is on risk management. If that's not it, then you want to sort those out. Remember the 3 dots out to the right on that, and then you can reorder those. Okay, this is his skills and where he has those things. You've got a good looking start, David.
Oh, okay, thank you.
The
Good
one
looking stuff.
comment I would make is down here for your recommendations, I would go ahead and hide them because your newest recommendations from 2012, that's useless.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have you done recently that people have noted?
Yeah, you want
Notice.
recommendations from 2023, 2022, 2021. You want to have the last 3 years.
Okay.
So I would just hide those.
It's okay to write out what you want them to say. And this is what I think we work together at XYZ. Here's a possible recommendation for LinkedIn. If you agree with this, would you send it to me as a recommendation? And you'd be amazed at the number of people that will do that. They may won't want to return, but go from there. Jeff, we're almost out of time. We've got 2 minutes, so I'll turn it back to you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you very much. If you want Locke's slide deck, just send an email to lockealderson@gmail.com. Let him know you're looking for the slide deck. By putting it in the chat window here, he won't get that. So best thing to do is send him an email. That way he can just hit the reply button and he'll attach that document to you. So Locke, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us this afternoon.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
Thank you. Next week, our speaker will be Terry Locke again. He'll talk about how to tell your key contacts and prospects who you are, what you do, and how you can help. The session will not be recorded to view after the event. So if you want to see Terry next Tuesday, you will need to watch him live. All right, if everybody will please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Very, very important. I get connection requests on a daily basis. If there's not a personal note, I am not going to connect. So I want to know why we should connect. You saw me here on LinkedIn Tuesday. You saw me interview Wednesday, whatever it was. You know, thank you for career DFW, whatever. Just give me a comment so I know. As Locke mentioned, there are white connect buttons and there are blue connect buttons. If you click on a white connect button, it will send a generic invitation. You always want to look for that blue connect button. When you find that blue connect button, you will be able to send a personal note. Now, this is on a desktop, a PC or Mac. If you're using your cell phone, the blue connect button sends the automatic invitation. What you want to do is off to the very, very right, there's 3 little dots. Click on that, open up a submenu, and it'll say, personalized invitation. So just be aware of that. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow. The practice interview team will be meeting in person. So if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come join the practice interview team. From what I understand, there's going to be 2 live interviews happening tomorrow. So you'll be able to pick which one you'd like to watch. That's tomorrow at 1 from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's at Christ United Methodist Church, 3101 Coit Road. That's at the corner of Parker and Coit in Plano. So come join us, park in the north parking lot. That's the one facing the McDonald's up on the Parker side, and walk in and you'll see signs how to get up to the meeting. Thursday, being the 3rd Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about the best practices for an effective resume. And these are resumes primarily for an ATS system, but just some good basic resume issues and things that you're going to want to look at. And then the second part, if anybody would like to share their resume, we will take a look at their current draft and we'll offer some opinions and advice. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting at 9:30 Central Time, PJ Dunn will be with us to talk about stress less, live more while on the job search track. I know that looking for a job is hard work, it is stressful. So come join PJ for that this Friday morning. The group is meeting in person, so if you'd like to join them in person. Also, they meet at Christ United Methodist Church, same place as the pit crew. And if you want to sign up for all those details, if you're not getting our emails, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You do not need to live in the DFW area to join the Career DFW group. If you do join, it'll be over 14,800 members. I think I just looked, we're at 14,882 members or something like that right now. So you're welcome to join that, one or both of those organizations. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. I'll have it uploaded. It'll take a couple hours for YouTube to do its thing, whatever YouTube does to make it happen. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. I have over 520 videos currently up there. So the easiest way to find this is click on playlist, pick the one you want, resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, networking. And where you see that red arrow, click on view full playlist and up will come a list with the dates, the speaker, and what the topic is. And that way you can scroll back and watch any video you want at any time if you're not available to be with us live. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. You can just scan that QR code. It'll generate an email. All you have to do is open the email, hit send. You don't have to put any details in it. Or you can just send a blank email to Career USA, the +sign, subscribe at groups.io. By doing that, you'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can just click on the Zoom link and join our workshop. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Locke is a volunteer. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 14.5 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. There's that QR code in the lower right-hand corner. If you'd like to join the mailing list. Locke, once again, thank you very much. And everybody, we'll hope to see you later in the week.
Thanks, Jeff.